everybody. My dad thinks his podcast is amazing, so please subscribe, give it 5 stars or whatever, and maybe he'll finally stop talking about it. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sober as Fuck. I'm Jess. For those of you listening and can't see, I'm missing half of the podcast over here. There's normally a gorgeous man giggling to himself sitting here giving you an introduction, but he's not here today, and I'm about to tell you why. But before I do, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. We also have our new website, our-noon.com. Make sure you check us out there. You can access the podcast on all of the platforms. There's also a lot of good stuff on there, blogs, resources, all of the things. Before we dive into it, I would like to give my usual trigger warning. We talk about all of the things mental health related, substance abuse, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, grief, anything that will make you sad and depressed. We talk about it. So if you start feeling some way, definitely prioritize yourself and log off. But assuming that you stick around for all the goods, today is a very, very, very special podcast episode. On May 20th, 2023, my husband, Ryan Stewart, decided to never take a sip of alcohol or step foot into a casino ever again. And at the time, I did not take it seriously because I didn't think it was possible. Not only did he quit drinking and quit gambling, but he dove headfirst into his sobriety, and he completed 75 hard, went on for a whole year to do live hard. He recently ran his first 10K, and to say that I am proud and happy is a big, big, big understatement. So with all of that said, without further ado, let's bring him onto the show. Hey, babe.
What's up?
What you doing, cutie?
Nothing, just hanging out in my, what I like to call my sober sanctuary.
Nice.
Yes.
Listen.
I put this all together, like a couple months into my sobriety. And actually, if people are watching the podcast, they've seen me on meetings. This is always what you see. Two of the greatest champions ever in the world, right behind me.
Love it.
Jordan.
You know, I don't get to flirt with my guests all the time. So I feel like that podcast host, I'm like, so tell me about yourself, big boy. I'm messing with my hair because I cut my own bangs and I'm very proud of myself. But it's not about me today. It's about you. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And by the time this episode airs, you will be 2 years sober. So I'm going to pull out my phone because unlike you, I don't print things on paper. I have it all on my phone. I promise I'm not texting, okay? But I want to talk to you about that. And I love this. We're gonna dive into it. You ready?
Ready.
Are you ready, handsome guy?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, take us back to before May 20th, 2023 when you got sober. What did a typical day look like for you as what society would deem a high-functioning alcoholic? Because you always went to work, the bills were always paid, from the outside looking in, you had your shit together. So what did a typical day look like for you?
At home or out of town?
All of the above.
At home, it was wake up when I woke up, or if it was a school day to get Lily off to school, I would get up 15 minutes before it's ready to take her to school, maybe 5-10 minutes. Um, Usually hungover or not wanting to get up, just wanting to sit in bed, and get her off to school, come back, shower, put my suit on, go into stores, feeling miserable, but upbeat enough to function and do my job. Um, I've been working in the same line of business for many years, so for me, it was just very easy to get up, put the face paint on, and roll. And then as soon as I was done with my day, it was go to the grocery store or go to, we have what's called like Weigel's, which is like a Shell or whatever station anywhere else. And I would pick up an 18 pack and I would come home and it'd have to be chilled because I didn't have time to wait. Um, I would down, if not all of it, most of it, till about 2 in the morning, usually watching sports, watching The Office, something just to occupy my time. Anything I could do to not think about how shitty my life had become. Um, when I was out of town, it was same thing, except not getting woke up early in the morning. And when I did, sometimes I didn't answer the phone when you guys would call. When my daughter would call before school, which is embarrassing, um, because I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Sometimes I was out to a casino all night long, till 5 or 6 in the morning. And it was, it was a bad cycle because it kept happening it was like Groundhog Day. It just kept happening every single day. And I kept feeling sorry for myself. I knew I needed to change. It took a lot for me to change. It took a lot of digging deep inside myself. Yeah, it was so bad. I'd become a terrible husband. I became a terrible father. I became a terrible person to be around. I was an isolated drinker to begin with. So I would, literally try to get myself away from everybody, which you're familiar with, me going upstairs, sitting in a, game room or whatever, watching whatever sporting event was on. It didn't matter what it was. It could be, you know, cricket or, some kind of wrestling in Japan, whatever it was, just to have a sport on and just sit and drink beer all fucking night. Yeah, it was bad on my phone, gambling, whatever I could do to get that dopamine hit. That's what I was doing. And to also numb out and not think about how shitty my life was, how my marriage was crumbling, um, my relationship with my kids had gotten so bad. Just nothing in my life felt right. And, it got to the point a few times where I did not want to be here anymore. I did not want to um, be a failure. And I didn't want to be known for that. But, my mental, what I was thinking was being a failure. It was being selfish. And, it took a lot for me to change that mindset. But, I was able to finally make that decision. Unfortunately, after a night of showing my ass in front of my family, when I finally took a deep dive into myself, literally for hours and a night, and just look at myself and say, "What are you doing? Why are you ruining not just your life, even though you've isolated yourself, but you're ruining all these other people's lives that you're not showing up. Not only are you not showing up for yourself, but you're literally not showing up for anyone else in your life." And that's when it all finally clicked. That why am I choosing something that's killing me, literally, as I come to find out, um, over this great life that I could be living for the next, however many years, 30, 40, 50 years. And I finally made the choice that worked best for me. And that's what I'm doing now.
So, this wasn't the first time that you'd gotten sober. And I'm using air quotes here because each time someone gets sober, wherever that falls on the spectrum, whether it's doing it because they got arrested or family or, whatever, to them, it's very much them getting sober, even if they know it's temporary. And we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but when Lily was around 3, I filed for divorce, kicked you out of the house. You had a night where you got drunk and showed your ass, and that was the first time I was like, I'm done. And I kept that divorce like in a holding pattern for a few years after that. But, what was it? Maybe 6-9 months, I let you move back into the house, and decided to continue with the marriage. At the time, I'm sure, and I could be speaking out of turn, so correct me, but I'm sure that you thought in your head, like, what am I doing? All of kind of the same thoughts. And I'm sure you thought, I'm going to quit drinking or slow down drinking, and the intention was still there. What was different about 2 years ago than it was that, like, in the beginning? Because I remember that, and I do believe that you recognized there was a problem, but you thought maybe you could control it. But what do you think was different and caused you to spiral back down?
I think that I've known for a long time that I had a problem with drinking. This goes back to probably my first couple years in the automotive business. I was, very green, newly married, had a kid.
And this was early 20s.
Very, very early 20s. My hockey career had come to an end. Had to be a family man now, because to me that's what you were supposed to do, right? You get married, you have a kid, you buy a house, and all this shit. And because I think that's what was instilled in me, from a young age. I guess that's just what I saw, So I get into the car business, and to me, car people and lawyers, and there's probably a few other groups that I'm missing. It seems like that drinking is just it's part of it. I remember going into Saturday morning meetings, and this will show my age. We used to open up. Everybody had to bring in a newspaper Saturday morning. You had to bring in a newspaper, and you had to open up the ads to the other car dealerships around you, just to see what kind of deals they were running in case you had to match a deal, so you knew what you were talking about. Yeah, pretty old, right? Like, internet's out there, but nobody's using it to shop. And as I'm sitting there in these meetings on Saturday, I got these older guys that have been, selling cars in like the 70s and 80s, and they're sitting there with their coffee mug, with liquor in it, and you can smell it. They're drinking coffee and liquor at the same time. And that's kind of when I thought, oh, okay, I see how this is going. And then, the getting together after work and drinking and stuff like that. Well, since I wasn't working out anymore, I was just working all the time. I was drinking at night. I ran into an old teacher that I had 5-6 years ago. And she came to buy a car, and she didn't recognize me. Mm. And then she saw my name after I handed her a business card, and she goes, "Oh my God, I remember you from high school." And she goes, "You've gotten so big in the face." I'll never forget that moment, because I never realized how out of shape I was, how terrible I looked. I was just drinking every night, and it really wasn't even that much. I mean, it was maybe a 6-pack every night. That's when I kind of knew I had a problem. My dad, it was a liquor drinker as long as I can remember. I would never say he has a problem. That's not for me to say. But he always drank a lot, and that's kind of what I grew up around. So that's what I knew. And then moving forward from there, went through a divorce. I was co-parenting, trying to co-parent with my ex, raising a couple kids. trying to make sure my child support was paid every month, um, trying to, make a house payment, pay all these bills that had amassed. And it was just a lot. And how did I numb it? I went out and drank. I drank at home. Um, it's one of those things that started out as a weekend thing and then it's a daily thing. And it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And then, middle of the, probably about middle of 2000s, I knew, I had a problem. I identified I am a terrible fucking drunk. And I was so worn out and so beat, I actually checked myself into a rehab facility a week. And honestly, could have done it standing on my head. I did it because I was fucking tired. I knew when I got out I was going to drink again. And it was probably 2 days after I got out, I was already drinking. But I did identify that I had a problem. That was the first time I'd been in meetings, anything like that. And the funny thing was, there was a guy, and he didn't even recognize me, who I was in rehab with, who was there for drugs. And he was the first person I ever met when we moved to the Cincinnati. He was the one guy that I was told, you don't want to hang out with that fucking guy.
And there you are.
And then here I am next to this guy, literally in rehab.
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
And he didn't recognize me, but, we sat together and stuff. I actually learned a lot from him. And, went our separate ways after that week or whatever. And here I am back drinking again, back into my same old ways, back to gambling, back to drinking. And then, time goes on, still drinking. You and I meet in a bar, and then when we started going through our problems again, I knew I had a problem. I stopped drinking for a while.
Mm-hmm.
White knuckle, didn't go to any type of meeting, nothing. I was at my friend's house. I worked, went to his house. I drank water all the time while I watched him drink beer. Like it was going on, just, I'd never seen anybody drink that much. But I never gave in. So I proved to myself that I could do it. I knew I could do it. I mean, I did it for a few months. Then I realized, okay, now I want to drink again because you and I started getting back together. And again, I thought, okay, another change. Let's try AA. Because at the time, that was, to me, that's all there was. Went to meetings for about 3 months. I could not understand it. I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it. I had a big book. Did I read it? No. Did I act like I did? Yes. Didn't share in the meetings, just went there, linked up with a few people, gave some rides to a few people. And honestly, all it did at that time was make me want to drink. So I'm saying it didn't work. I didn't work it. I didn't utilize what was in front of me. So it didn't work. And I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll just moderate. And you probably remember this.
Mm-hmm.
You were a wine drinker. I was not. I was a beer drinker and maybe some bourbon, and that was it. I introduced wine back into our life. It was like, hey, how about we drink wine? And by the way, I was sneaking wine while I was out of town. I think I told you that. I would drink 2 bottles of $5 red wine every night, just to get that buzz or that numb out feeling because I thought I needed to sleep. I had convinced myself I needed to sleep. So AA didn't work. Tried moderating. You and I have had this conversation a few times. I said, okay, only on the weekends. Only when I'm out of town. Only when I'm at the casino. It was always something. Only on vacation. Only at the pool. It's only. And then the only turns into Ryan's drinking 18 fucking beers every night and literally killing himself and his family. Didn't know that at the time, but I know that now. Then we fast forward to, a couple years ago when I showed my ass in front of the family, most important, sadly, in front of Lily, our daughter. And then that's when my brain started kicking. I'm like, you tried all these different things and nothing worked. You tried them, but you didn't actually try them. You just said you did. You're an actor. You're playing a part. Now it's real life. You're going to go one of two ways. This little girl is going to watch you die within a matter of 5 years, and probably earlier. And she's going to watch you literally lose everything that you worked your ass off. You and your wife have worked your ass off. Because I was one DUI away or one stupid mistake away from literally losing my life, losing my family, losing everything. And that's when I took a real deep dive into myself and said, okay, there's got to be something else. I've tried this stuff. It hasn't worked. I got on my phone and I looked up online meetings because I knew I couldn't face the fact that I wasn't going to drink anymore. And I found Reframe. It was an app. Did research on it. This is all the same night. I mean, I had been drinking. I'd quit drinking, before midnight. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I saw there was a meeting the next day at like noon. It was a men's meeting. And I didn't even know what fucking Zoom was. This is just a couple of years ago, right? I mean, I knew what it was because we'd done Zoom meetings, but like, I didn't realize you could do, like Zoom on your phone. I knew you on a computer. I'm an old man like that, I guess. So I download Zoom and I got on the app, took a 7-day free trial, and it's got like these daily tasks and I'm going over it, and it's, put your sobriety date first in. And then I got this little green mug thing because I said I didn't drink. And I don't know what it was. I get tingle. I'm like Hairston. I got this little tingle like, wow, that's a day. And I hadn't completed the day yet, but in my mind, I had completed the day that I was sober. And I thought, all right, man, I'm getting somewhere. I'm doing something. And I told myself, that was a little dopamine hit, right? Mm-hmm. So I found something else other than alcohol or like a replacement. So I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to fucking do this again. I got it. I went to that first meeting, men's meeting, and Kevin, who's like head of coaching at Reframe, was monitoring a meeting, and I actually put in the chat, this is my first meeting, and he read it like I was right in front of him, and he's like, welcome, Ryan, first meeting, great job, and all these other people are kind of like, hey, man, welcome, welcome, actually taking input. And I thought, okay, this is all right. And then I heard the shares, and I'm like, okay, these people are just like me. They have the same background as me, the same stories. And then I saw there was a couple more meetings throughout the day, and then it's meeting. I mean, I probably stayed up there for like 2 weeks, it seems like. I hit every fucking meeting I could. It was an LBGTQ meeting. I was in the meeting. I'm a supporter. I may not have supposed to be in the meeting, but I had to get around my people. I had to get around people that were struggling with stuff so I could hear their stories because I feel like I fit in. Finally, I found a place I fit in. But later that day, getting back to that first meeting, I made the decision, this is it. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm not going to do anymore. And it didn't matter what you thought. It didn't matter what anybody else thought. But it did matter to me what my car. So I loaded her up in the car, and I think I took her to figure skating or something. I can't remember what it was, but put her in a car, took a ride. No sooner we get out of the neighborhood, I said, I need to talk to you about something. I said, I am never going to drink again. You will never see your dad take a sip of alcohol again. I'll never be drunk. And she smiled at me. And she said, I think that's a good thing. I said, so you're not mad at me? Do you have any questions, anything like that? She goes, no, I love you. She goes, and I think you can do it. And I knew I could not let her down. Couldn't let myself down, but I would never let her down. And that was a big turning point in my life. because I knew in choosing that, I was choosing myself over everybody. I was choosing it over my marriage, because I knew in order to get sober, it did not matter what you thought. I wasn't trying to win you back. I wasn't trying to win the love of my mother, my father, have somebody be proud of me. None of that mattered. What matters is that I would take care of myself. And then the journey began. And I have never fucking looked back. I have never questioned that decision on that day, nor do I think I ever will. For a lot of people, it's hard for them to say forever. For me, I could have told you forever was that day, because I knew just the little things that were happening around me were all good, and I could feel it. I knew deep inside of me. I didn't know it at the time, but I had this all of a sudden this growth mindset instead of being this stuck in a rut mindset of doing Groundhog Day, doing the same. I was fucking tired of that. I'm over it. You hear it a lot in meetings of sober community. Man, I wish I would have known this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I think I've even caught myself saying, I did it when the time was right. Thank God I did it before it was too late. That's the important, is that I was able to make that change before, my kids had to bury me or you had to bury me. Not saying that, that couldn't happen. I mean, driving down the road, whatever, walking down the street, running on the street, shit happens. But I know one thing, alcohol will not fucking do that. And I can say that's a forever thing for me. And that's what works for myself. I hope that answered your question.
It did. I'd like to point out too, like when we found out we were pregnant with Lily, right? I was shocked that you wanted another kid because your other kids, I mean, they weren't like grown, but there was, a huge age gap. And I thought, there's no way this guy wants to go all the way back to the beginning. And you were like, yeah, I want to do it. And so something you said to me then was, you said, I would love to have another kid because I was so young when I had my others and the relationships were like a little rocky, that even though I've always been present, I've had to share time and space with a co-parent and things like that. I haven't been able to be there every day, and you took a job down here in Tennessee and that took you away from them, but it was like, an opportunity. You couldn't pass up all that. Like all that stuff was good stuff. You've always, one of the most attractive things to me when I met you was how good of a dad you were. And that's something I've told everybody. I'm like, he may have been a terrible husband because of the alcoholism, not isolated as a husband when you were drunk, but you've always been a great dad. And so I think that night when you saw Lily as well, because your other kids were there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was like that moment of reflection, like seeing them at that age and knowing like you knew that you couldn't go back and change some of the things that they saw. Not that you were never abusive or anything, but they saw you drunk. They saw you gamble. They saw that part of you, right? And you saw her and you thought, this was my opportunity to do it differently. And I'm just repeating that same pattern. And you saw that opportunity to make a difference. We talk about Lily a lot on it, and we won't get into the kids big time, but I also think that Lily sort of represented all of your kids in that moment too. Like, this is my opportunity. If I don't do this now, it is just this pattern. And you have a great relationship with all of your children now. That's I'd like to point that out. The only difference is Lily is the only minor living in the house and being a little shit stain sometimes, but that's part of it as well. You have managed to really have these beautiful relationships with your kids now, even as adults. And that alone, I think, should show anybody it's never too late to change your story, and you couldn't care about what I thought because you already knew what I thought. And I was a consenting adult. That's the thing too, is I see a lot of people get on here and they're like, why don't you do it for me? Well, I mean, it's not, you do it for all of it, right? Like you chose you as a father, you chose you as a husband, you chose you as a son, you chose you as a human being. Like all of those things make you who you are. But if you get so hyper focused on what someone else may do, especially an adult, I think that's the biggest thing too. Like when children are around, like you bring those children into the world unconsensually. So you automatically owe them. So you don't owe me anything. I mean, I love you. I'm glad that we're together, but you don't owe me shit. If we got divorced, eventually we'd fall out of love. Like, you can't divorce your kids. So, of course, that's going to be more of a tether. I mean, I don't plan on divorcing you unless, just saying, whatever. I'm kidding. But I think that story between you and Lily is beautiful. And I think there are a lot of layers there, and your kids are super proud of you. I mean, I have said from the beginning that watching you blossom as a dad, I mean, you were always a fantastic dad, but watching you blossom as a dad in sobriety, I'm most proud of that. In all honesty, I knew you'd be a great husband without the alcohol. I knew you'd be a great dad without the alcohol, but the way that you parent, I mean, it's the sexiest thing I've ever seen, sir.
Well, I mean, and I still have my issues. I'm still learning.
Well, we all do.
Well, from my first daughter's birth, I mean, alcohol was always there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I did all this with a clear mind. So it's one of those things like, I've abused my body and my mind for 30 years. I forgot what it's like to be 100% all in with my child. Like when I say being there, like at the drop of a hat, hey, Dad, I got cheerleading practice in 15 minutes. I need you to take me because Mom's doing something. Used to, it'd be like, your mom's got to go. I've been drinking. Dad, I need to be picked up at this football game tonight. I'm going to be out with my friends, even though my bedtime's 9:30. I'm going to be out till 10 o'clock, my bedtime, me. I'm going to be out till 10:30. I need you to come to the football game, pick me up. And I'm like, no problem.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, unless I say.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's nice.
Right.
It's nice for you to be able to say, I'm not doing that because I'm sleepy. Like, I'm genuinely tired, not I'm drunk. I get what you're saying there. Like,
and that's the thing, right? Or, on a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and, she wants to go ice skating or, something like that. Just something one off, or go to the movies. Doesn't matter, whatever it is. There's no alcohol involved, and there's no alcohol involved before the question. So it's always a sure, unless we have something going on. But it really is a completely, we joke about it on the podcast. May 20th is when you divorced your husband, and we've realistically.
Oh yeah, I call you my ex-husband.
My ex-husband, right? And so we've really been together just a couple of years, and it's because I've, and everybody that watches the podcast, oh my God, you guys are this power couple, and you're the greatest thing in the world. Well, let me tell you something. It's hard fucking work. We're not a power couple. We get in arguments like everybody else does, except now we take a break and we reconvene and we talk about it. And one of us seems like to always apologize to the other. And it may take a little bit of time, but it's not me saying, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to drink 15 beers, and then I'm going to come downstairs and try to have a conversation with her about it, even though I know it's going to end up in an argument. That's just going to give me the reason to isolate myself for another day because she won't want anything to do with me. Everything's so different.
Yeah,
it is. It's amazing to step back sometimes and, journal about how great my day was. with you, with Lily, with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to have those memories now where I didn't have that before. You've brought up many times to me, you don't remember that? You don't remember that? Fuck no, I don't remember it. Because you think I've had 3 beers when I've really had probably 10,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I
before
always
we
knew you
saw,
had 10, though.
you know
You
what I
know what I
mean?
mean?
Well, and that's another thing, by the way. For those of you who think you snuck around
No, you
shit with
didn't.
your family, let me tell you something. They all fucking know.
You can definitely attest to that because we had many moments after you got sober, and it wasn't in the beginning. It was probably about a year in, and you would sprinkle them in there where you would tell me like the truth about things, and you always came and looked at me like this wounded little, like wounded little dog,
I would always say, I'm sorry.
like you like pissed on the couch or
That's right.
something, and you were always shocked because you would tell me these things like the reason that, I got mad at you for this is because I went and blew money at the casino here, or, I used to intentionally sabotage things so that I didn't have to do things. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And you're like, what do you mean? Yeah, you know. I'm like, I knew the whole fucking time. So, yes,
Mhm.
for anybody listening or watching, alcohol, drugs, all of it makes you think that you are this person you're not. And I know that sounds like a very obvious statement, but like you're not kidding anybody. Like your wife, she knows. Your kids, they
Well,
know.
you know,
They
you know, you,
know.
you you hear that old cliche, right? 10 foot tall and bulletproof, right? And you kind of laugh about it. That's fucking for real.
Right.
I mean, for somebody that used to, this. I'm a big teddy bear. Um, Alcohol would make me just want to fuck things up.
Yes, you would go through the phase of you would start drinking and you'd be happy. And then on a dime, you would go from happy to angry. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I think I've seen you get in fights with like a wall. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Just aggressive.
Rage.
Um, but if, and again, just speaking to anybody listening, because I like that you hit on the fact that we get a lot of people who they commend us for our relationship and give us this high praise. And when I say 3 years ago, 2 years ago in 1 month,
Hmm.
2 years ago in one day,
Yeah.
okay? If somebody would have told us or anyone in our inner circle that we would be a couple that people would be looking up to, I would have been like, you are
Right. Fucking right.
high as a kite.
Right.
To the point that our inner circle people actually stopped coming over for like 4th of July or to hang out and swim because they'd be like, and this is true, they'd be like, I don't want to go to Ryan and Jess's house because I don't want to hear them fucking argue the whole time. Ryan's going to get drunk, Jess is going to get pissed, and then they're going to fight, and it's going to be this. I mean, we were that couple that nobody really ever wanted to be around because 98% of the time we were going to fucking fight. And that is the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
Um,
And like I said, now we still get into. I don't call them fights. I mean, to me, it's just like
you
everybody
just,
has small arguments,
well,
right?
you just annoy the fuck out of me
It's
sometimes.
not we both
I
get on
mean,
each other's nerves, right? But it's
yes.
to me, it's going to happen to everybody. I don't care who you are, any relationship you're in, you are going to have disagreements and arguments, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if everybody just got along and agreed on shit, it'd be pretty fucking boring, I guess, in my
Yeah,
most of the
it would
time.
be.
Most of the time, it's how you handle the argument, how you handle it,
How you handle your reaction to
your
anything.
business. Yeah, your
Right.
bit, how you handle yourself.
Because you can't change that person across from you, and that shouldn't be your goal, anyways.
No, there's not a damn thing you're going to do. And I've been reading this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a damn good book. But one of the things in there is like why do you even get in an argument? Why? You're not going to change that person's mind. Doesn't matter what you say, you're not going to change that person's mind. So why are you wasting each other's breath?
Right.
Like,
Your own experiences are the things that change your mind. I just would like to say that I'm going to create a clip of just that portion of this podcast and I'm going to save it to my
save it to your
phone.
phone.
So every time I'm going to go,
Yeah.
that's you speaking to
But
yourself.
I'm learning. I mean, to me, I'm
No,
like,
I know. Yeah.
it's year 2. I'm about to start 3rd grade here next week.
Well, but also we're human beings. Like nobody is perfect, and people are going to argue, and you're going to get irritated for multiple reasons. Like
Perfection sucks. Doesn't exist.
don't take it all so seriously that you get down on yourself when when you have a bad day. Like that's part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we log off, you are the guest on this show, which means I am in control of everything, which I normally am anyways, but that's okay. So you are not immune to the final question, Mr. Ryan. So take us back to your drinking days. Long, long ago, in the old days of drunken Ryan. Stewie, as we like to call him.
Yeah, old Stewie.
Now I know firsthand that though Stewie could be a royal fucking dickhead, he also was a lot of fun and really funny some of those times too. So if you could tell us a story about a drunken day, and it doesn't have to be while we're married, if pee is involved or maybe falling on a dance floor somewhere is involved, that would be awesome.
Because that was the story I was going to tell.
So yeah, tell us about one of your favorite hilarious moments.
Honest to God, that is one of my favorite stories. You and I planned this cruise for Christmas. I gave you for Christmas. Obviously, I did it for myself because cruise ship, casino, drinking, all in one place, don't have to leave. And I think my wife will have fun too. But selfishly, it was for me. We both know that, right?
Sure.
So we go on this cruise, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of great times. But on the probably second to last night, it's like a six night cruise or 5 night cruise. We would go to the club every night, and Twinkle Toes right here thinks he's the Lord of the Dance, as always.
Very drunk,
very all over the place. I like to think I'm a great dancer when I drink, and I don't really want anybody around, even though I want you by me. I'm my own thing.
We don't.
So, I'm out on the dance floor getting it. Was it silent? Was it the headphone night?
I think it was. That's what made it better. Is I do think that it was the silent dance party
club or whatever. And I got these big ass headphones. Oh my God, this is great. And I'm out there. I am getting it. Whatever I'm doing, I don't know, and I'm getting it. I wish I had a video. And there's like nobody really around me because I'm all over the place apparently. But I think they're moving away because Lord of the fucking Dance is in the house, right? For whatever reason, and I don't know what move I was trying to do, I fell like a fucking tree. And when I say fell like a tree, it wasn't like my knees buckled, I fell to the ground. I fell.
Yeah, it was not slow motion. It was not slow motion.
Like, a turtle on his back, upside down, on the dance floor. And there's no music playing, my headphones. And then all of a sudden, I can't get up. And I am heavy at this time, 60 or 70 pounds heavier than what I am now. And nobody could. You tried getting me up, if I remember correctly. You could not get me up.
I think I looked at you and I said, "You get your fucking ass up right now."
So some guy who I have no idea who he is comes over, helps me up. You and I wander back to the room, and that was it for that night. Where it gets better is the next night we're in the casino playing blackjack. And I am doing very well, and this guy in the middle over here is doing very well. We are both obnoxiously drunk. We are kicking the casino's ass, big time. We're sitting there playing, and all of a sudden, Jess starts telling the story of me last night, drunk, on my back like a fucking turtle at the dance floor. And the guy says, "Wait a minute, that was you?
I picked you
I'm the
up.
one that picked you up."
And then
And then at
he,
that point, they give us 2 certificates for free cruises, and he and I become friends. We exchange numbers. We even called each other on the way home to plan another cruise, and you were like, "That's not fucking happening. I'm not going through that shit
because
again."
to bring that story to an end, that prompted him to tell you a story that he was there on his honeymoon with
Yep.
his wife, and he got so drunk the night before that he took all of his clothes off in his room. Like, we're talking full
Yep, naked. Yep.
nuts out, naked, and walked out of the room thinking he was walking to the bathroom and locked himself out and couldn't get back in. And so he curled up in the fetal position,
Passed out right in
naked,
front of his
like
door.
Ace Ventura in the
Yep.
bathtub shower, and slept in the hallway naked all night long. And then woke up the next day and had no idea how he got out there. And did I mention he was completely fucking naked?
Yeah. And his wife was none too happy about telling that story.
No,
It was,
no, no.
it
I
was
think a crew person came by and was like, "Sir, you're naked and you're sleeping on the floor. Like, that's not okay."
yeah.
That was a good
It
time. Yeah,
was a
and
good
it
time.
wasn't slow motion. When you say you fell, it was like no bending involved. It was like a weeble wobble.
No, it was like a
But you
big,
you
big,
didn't
big
come back
tree
up.
fall hard. Is what. You know, I do want to say these past 2 years have been um, amazing. Would be an understatement, because I never knew life could be this fucking amazing. I never knew sharing my life with people I care about and love could be this amazing. It was something that I always put my guard up on. I didn't want you to get too close to me. I didn't want the kids to get too close to me, because I always knew in the back of my mind, one of two things was going to happen. I was going to let you down, or you were going to leave me. And I always had that mindset that it didn't matter what I did, you were going to leave anyway. So fuck it. And I quickly realized when I became sober that that really wasn't the case.
You left me
I
in
did.
a way. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things a lot of people get confused that I hear about in meetings and group circles, or whatever you're in, is you're saying somebody say, my wife gave me an ultimatum. It's I got to get sober or leave. No, that's not going to work, because you got to do it for you, but you also got to realize that the most important thing, just like you said, they're not leaving. You left them.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's
that's not
huge.
them really giving you an ultimatum. That's them saying, "I have to choose me."
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm letting
Until
you
you.
know that I'm leaving
Yep.
because you're going to end up killing me with you, and I can't let that happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a small part of it. All the shit that I've done over the past 2 years has just been things I never thought I would ever in my fucking life do, especially at the age I'm at. I'm getting ready to turn 50 years old. I always had an excuse that I couldn't work out because of my knees and my ankles and my wrists because of hockey, which, 2 years into sobriety, I could not do a push up. I could not do a sit up. It was embarrassing how out of shape I was.
I know you fell down on a dance floor
I
and couldn't
fell
get
down
back up
dancing,
like
and
a turtle.
I could not get up.
That was a literal, I have fallen and cannot get
Yes,
up.
yes. You know, I just started doing fucking jumping jacks for a minute, and it all just evolved into this thing. I did 70, like you said in the beginning. I did 75 hard for a year. Most people can't even do 75 hard to begin with. I literally did it for a full year and still did it after that. I've created my own fitness challenge that we're going to have on the website. I've read, 40 something books, some of them fucking twice. I'm not a reader. I am now. I journal twice a day. I never in my life thought I would be a runner, but I tried it, and now I'm a fucking runner. I ran a 10K just a few weeks ago. My big ass ran a fucking 10K a few weeks ago. I've lost 60 pounds. My health's better. I'm hardly on any type of medicine anymore. Everything is just better. I survive airports, trips out of town, a funeral, a couple funerals, really. We started this sober podcast. We started a website. I say we, really you, but you've done all the hard work and heavy lifting, which thank you very much for that. But the two most important things that sobriety, actually it's three most important things sobriety's given. Number one, it gave me my life back, which my life was gone for a long. Number two, it gave me my relationship back with my kids that I knew I wanted and could always have, because I didn't have that for a very long time. And to me, the third most important is it has shown me how to love someone unconditionally and to accept someone's love that I've never had in my life. I honestly think people have loved me. I've been in relationships, I've married before, and I truly think they really did love me. I was never willing to accept their love because I thought they were going to leave anyway, which they eventually did. Now I'm in the healthiest, most incredible relationship I've ever been in with myself. No, I'm just kidding. With you. And
you beat me to it. I was going to be like, well, she sounds wonderful.
Yeah, she does sound
We'll have to bring her on the podcast sometime.
I should have said, I need to introduce you to her. That's what I should have. And usually and that's another thing. I'm, witty as hell now. I'm quick-witted. Even though I always thought I was before, but whatever. But, all the trips we've gone on, sporting events we've been to, all the Broadway shows. I mean, I just wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been incredible. And I remember, almost remember, every minute of it. And
right.
It's just a beautiful life that I've created with the help of others. With my sober community, with you, with the kids, with my family, extended family. It's been an incredible ride that I never, ever, ever want to get off. I never want to.
Well, it continues now as I go pick kids up from school.
And there we go. Yeah, now it's time to put in the hard work.
That's right. Well, I love you, and I think you're amazing. And
I'm not amazing. I'm just
you are amazing. Getting sober is a superpower
that works every fucking day to stay sober. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think about, the taste of beer or gambling. I think about it every day, but it'll never touch my lips, and I'll never grab a chip again. I promise you that.
Well, I love you. I'll see you downstairs.
Word.
Bye.
Bye. If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.